encounter were two ants, and I wondered how did they get there, and what their journey must have been like, because an ant's very small, and I imagined that they came from my backyard, so they would have to travel through something that was like a jungle. And then when they climbed up the side of my house, they would have to climb up something that was like a mountain. And then when they climbed across my countertop, it would be like a vast plain, a desert. But then they would climb into the sugar bowl that was on my counter, and that's how this story begins. An ant, a single ant, finds the sugar bowl in my house, and then the ant goes back to the ant nest and shows everyone, look, sugar. So all the other ants get really excited, and they want to go get sugar too. And why do ants want to go get the sugar?
Because they're hungry and they don't have an ant grocery store.
Right. They found the mother lode of sugar. But here's something you may not know about ants. When an ant finds that stuff, what do they do with it? Do they eat it, or what do they do?
Eat it. Save it. Bring it back to the queen. They eat it.
What's that? Let me hear that. Let me hear that. They bring it back to their queen. Okay. So that's the deal with ants, because if you don't bring it back to the queen, the whole ant colony collapses.
But ants eat leaves.
They eat a lot of stuff. They really like sugar, though, just like you. Yeah. Okay, so let me push ahead here. So these two ants travel with all their fellow ants along this long journey. They get into the kitchen. They get into the sugar bowl. All the other ants are taking a crystal of sugar, turning around and going back outside to the ant kingdom. These two ants find themselves in the sugar bowl, and they say to themselves, why go back? Look at all this sugar. This is great. And so they decide to stay there and not bring the sugar back to the queen, and that's why they are the two bad ants. So in a story, when you have a bad character, what happens to bad people in stories? They go to jail. Right. Okay, wait. Bad things happen to bad characters. Though sometimes you can make a very interesting story by having bad things happen to good characters. Those are more... They don't get tied up, but they do get electrocuted. So anyway, this book actually does have a happy ending, or at least a satisfying ending, because the ants have a second chance. And when they have the second chance, they do take the crystals back, not because, and I tried to make this clear on the last page, not because they don't want it, they've been punished, they feel they've been bad. They take it back because they realize that that's their nature, that's the way the world works, and if they work that way too, they'll be happy ants, and they won't be bad ants.
Did you she get to eat all sugar when you bring it back?
The ant eats a lot of the sugar.
Did you do all of these pictures in marker or watercolor?
Okay. Question about medium here, technique. Because I never studied materials when I was in college, I just studied sculpture, I've always been sort of experimenting with technique. And the way I did these drawings was first I painted the flat colors, and then on top of the flat colors I took black pen and ink and drew the black lines on top of them. So that's how these were done. Very, very fussy work. I'm a fussy person.
Okay.
Okay.